Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rock and roll here from the beautiful Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As these drivers get ready to play, they get ready to go to battle here in this one. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a good race here as Joseph Brooks, my boy Joseph, coming in, says, "Peacemaker, what's up, dude? What's up, Joseph? How are you, brother? How you doing? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful day today, brother, as we get ready to rumble. We get ready to set these drivers loose." James Garland coming in with that like on the stream as well. James says, "Might join you in the booth, laugh out loud. I won't be on the track long." Oh no, brother. Oh no, don't say that. Don't say that. Come on now, you gotta have faith out there. You gotta have faith out there on the speedway. CJ Jeffrey says, "Huge shout out to Colton, Mike, Dom, and Kevin with WBC Racing. Have a clean and smart race today, fellas." Cheering on his boys over there at WBC Racing here in this one as these drivers get ready to rock and roll. Starting on the pole in the number 76 ride, it is Caleb McKinney. To his outside is Gavin Addison. Then we see the number 15, Cameron Combs. Al Reed there in position number 4. The 77, Casey Gross, will start in the 5th position with Adolfo Castillo there to his outside. Then we see the it's the 19 rider, Dom Slavo there in 7th. Billy Jordan to his outside. The 00 Colton Manager, Mike Killingback, rounding out our top 10 here on the speedway. Then we see Kurt Sponsler, Chris Muse, Brock Bigelow, Robert Tuiscu, Anthony Garland, Wayne Garland, Austin Smith back here. Last week's winner there in the 17th position. He'll have the 84 of Wayne Garland to his outside with Josh Bromfield, Lance Brantlinger, Joshua Neal, Johnny Thunders, James Garland, Kevin Kazar bringing up the rear of the field here in that 23rd position. Unfortunately for Brandon Puffenbarker and the 20 right Corey Crowell, both drivers missing the start of this race. Will have to start from down pit road, so they are going to be behind the 8 ball right out of the get-go for both of these contenders. But the 5 and 20 ride going to start down pit side here in this race, so 25 drivers will get ready to rock and roll here this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you came here for a show. Well, here you go, as we're going to get ready to set these drivers loose. We're going to get ready to set these drivers wild here at the beautiful Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the road course here at Indianapolis. So not only turning left, but also turning right here this afternoon, which should be a great time, should be a great show. As Dude Guy says, "Racing makes my nipples hard." Oh, baby! Yes, sir. It does the same to me, brother. It does the same to me. Joseph says, "Been a minute. I'm good. How are you doing?" I'm always doing good, Joseph. Always doing good, Mr. Brooks. How did racing season go, man? I know you were busy there with, in real life racing there in Montana. Hopefully you guys are ready for some racing with the Montana iRacing League or the Saturday Night Super Series. Hopefully we can get you guys in there for some of that fun and get some more amazing Montana racing back here on PeaceMaker Gaming again this winter. As you guys says, "Oh, nice right turns too." It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit, brother. Listen, this is gonna be periodically watching the drivers at the front of the field, and then most of the time we're gonna be watching drivers, spin around, lose their cars out of the corners, blow it down into the grass. It's gonna be basically a highlights of drivers having mistakes out there on the speedway. It's gonna be a lot of that here this afternoon, but we're hoping for nothing but a good, clean, fun run and some great racing. No caution flags, but there could be some caution flags if there's a huge pile up or something like that, especially here on the front straightaway. We may see that yellow flag fly, but there are no stages, so no stage breaks, no nothing. Should be a 45 lap shootout here. Drivers should be able to make it about 18 to 20 laps on fuel before they have to come down pit road, as we end all the anticipation with our feature presentation. We are quickly green flag racing here from Indianapolis down into corner number 1. Drivers trying to make their way through as they head down into corner number 2 and through corner number 3 here at Indianapolis. And quickly, it's Caleb McKinney who leads the way. Already we see one driver, Casey Gross, running into some issues here. The 77 ride off the speed speedway here a little bit. Looks like he's gonna blow it off of corner number 2 into the grass, almost going around, able to keep it going though, as Casey able to get that car pointed back in the right direction, keeps on rolling. Unfortunate break for him after having a great start here, and started up inside the top 10, looking to have himself a good day. But now we see a bunch of other drivers. Austin Smith running into some issues now. Smith going down here. We see more drivers going to pile into this as well. So Austin Smith just getting in there way too hot off the racetrack in hard contact into the safer barrier there in corner number 6, and then we see a ton of other drivers run into issues here. It's an onslaught of issues coming out of this corner, as we're going to see a bunch of other contenders just run in here, run out of room, and run into some issues. You see the number 84 ride going to get in here very hot. That's the 84 of Wayne Garland, right into the door, right into the numbers there for Brantlinger. Then you see Robert Tuiscu nowhere to go. He's going to get a piece of that one as well. As they get tied together, then we're going to see more drivers run into issues here throughout this corner, as well as we see more and more drivers going around, more drivers. There's the 28 ride going for a loop-de-loop. It's basically a wreck fest and survival of the fittest out here on the speedway to start this race. We did see James Garland have issues. Let's take a look at what happens to the 13 as he rolls down and just looks like he may get in here a little too deep again. We'll take a look. Yeah, just a little too deep. Flat spot in those tires, unfortunately, off the racetrack. That's a tough break right there for him. Let's take a look. Josh Bromfield ran into some issues here in the almost the exact same area there. That's where we see the number 13 behind him go down onto the brakes hard. Then the 12 ride right here, just coming out of the corner, gets loose, goes around, down through the grass. Luckily enough, not a whole lot of contact there for the 12 ride. Anthony Garland in the 81. After completing that first lap here, having himself a decent start on that opening lap. Unfortunately, kind of comes all undone right here. Blows it into corner number 1. Has to lock him up. Slides down into that runoff there, which is normally corner number 4 here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He gets that car pointed back in the right direction and gets rolling here once again. Now we see Brandon Puffenbarger running into issues. This is one of the drivers that started down on pit road. Same with the 20 rider, Corey Crowell. Here, Corey runs into issues as well, and same with the 28. They all kind of get tied together right there. They all kind of go around. Some pretty good contact for all 3 competitors right there. Everyone able to keep on rolling, though. Keeps on driving there on the speedway. So still, no caution flag. It is just everybody's race out there on the speedway. It's out in front. It is the 76 of Caleb McKinney. McKinney leads the way here in this one with Gavin Addison right there in second. About 0.8 of a second between our top 2 competitors. And then we see Cameron Combs there in third. Adolfo Castillo back there in fourth. Al Reed there in position number 5 on the speedway. And we see Billy Jordan, Kurt Sponsler, Brock Bigelow, Dom Salavo, and the 70 ride of Mike Killingbeck rounding out our top 10 here on the speedway. Chris Muse back there in the 11th position with KC Gross there in position number 12. Brantlinger there in 13th with Colton Manich back in 14th. Robert Tuiscu there rounding out our top 15 on the speedway. Anthony Garland, Johnny Thunders, Brandon Puffenbarger, Josh Bromfield, Kevin Kazar, our top 20 with Corey Crowell, Joshua Neal, James Garland, Wayne Garland, and Austin Smith. Our top 25 out there on the speedway. So everybody's still out here, still running some laps. Unfortunately, a lot of drivers running into issues. Now we do see Adolfo Castillo running into issues here as well. The 31 ride up inside the top 5 here. We also see Gavin Addison down and off the track as well. There we go. You see the 31 just blows it into the corner a little too far. Let's take a look here at Gavin Addison in the 11 ride, as it looks like he may lock him up. You already see that right front tire. Take a look at that right front You see the brakes glowing there inside that right front wheel. These drivers are hard onto the brakes. These drivers are giving everything they can. Unfortunately, sends it into the corner a little too hard. Has to take the extra little bit of racetrack right there, extending the corners here at the beautiful Indianapolis road course this afternoon for Gavin Addison. But good job keeping himself out of the grass, keeping that car pointing in the right direction. And with Adolfo running into issues, didn't even lose a position right there. So that's a good piece of driving for the number 11 machine as Caleb McKinney continues to lead the way. But here comes Cameron Combs. Combs starting to track him down in a quick hurry as we see a bunch of more drivers running into issues here. More drivers running into some tough spots. We did see the 81 ride. Looks like he's going to get very loose here onto the brakes and almost goes around right here out of, I don't even know what corner that is, but he's able to get it going here again, then unfortunately blows it into the grass here. So a couple issues right there for that number 81. Now we see him unfortunately run into some more issues as we'll take a look here at him as the 81 machine of Anthony Garland this time going to send it into the corner. And he's just going to lock up that left front again. Goes around another loop-de-loop there for the 81 machine. Able to keep it going, though. We do see Chris Muse now running into issues. Let's take a look here at Muse out there on the speedway as he's going to get into the grass there a little bit. Has to save it. Has to get that car pointing in the right direction. Loses a few spots here on the speedway, but luckily enough, able to keep himself out of trouble as there is action all over this racetrack. These drivers giving it everything they got out here on the speedway, and Caleb McKinney continuing to lead the way here in this one. Caleb out in front. Cameron Combs, Gavin Addison, Al Reed, and Adolfo Castillo are top 5 here on the speedway. Billy Jordan, Kurt Sponsler, Brock Bigelow, Dom Slavo, and Mike Killingbeck rounding out our top 10 here on the speedway, but the race is on here at the front of the field for the early race lead here this afternoon. As CJ Jeffrey says, Lance can't catch a break this season. Call it the champion's curse. I would definitely call it the champion's curse. Definitely has had the worst luck here this year, man. He just cannot catch a break out there. As CJ says, for what it's worth, I tried to get the admins to swap to an easier road course before the season started, but they were dead set on sticking to what the roulette wheel chose. Laugh out loud. Hey man, it's all fun for me. I don't know if it would make any difference, honestly, whether or not we were at Watkins Glen or if we were at Sonoma or something like that. I think nonetheless it's gonna be a bit of a wild one. We're going to see some pretty crazy action at any road course we go to here with the fellas. And there's some guys that are very, very good. There's definitely drivers that have the niche and the knack for these road courses. Then there's other drivers that unfortunately struggle quite a bit more here on these road courses. As right now, Caleb McKinney and Cameron Combs showing that they are pretty dang good here. Same with Gavin Addison, Adolfo Castillo, Al Reed, drivers that really haven't ran into many issues yet here on the afternoon. Billy Jordan, Kurt Sponsler, Brock Bigelow, Dom Slavo, Mike Killingbeck, all kind of keeping themselves for the most part out of issues. We did see Gavin Addison blow the one quarter, same with Adolfo Castillo, so even those drivers inside the top 5 can still run into issues as we see some more issues here a little deeper in the field. Brandon Puffenbarger, he's going to go off the racetrack right here. Let's take a look. Locks him up. Unfortunately, slides down into the grass. Luckily enough, no contact, no damage there for him. We see Colton manage run into issues in the 00 ride. Just gets in there a little too hot. Down through the grass, and keep that car still pointing in the right direction. There's Brantlinger, closes in on him, goes right to his back bumper. Then we do see Brantlinger going to run into issues shortly afterwards as he's trying to hunt down this 00 ride. I believe Brantlinger is going to run into something here. Looks like maybe right there, just getting up and into the grass there a little bit. Luckily enough, able to get that car back onto the racetrack, but gave up everything that he gained. But then Johnny Thunders in this Quantum Motorsports number 60 ride, the Peacemaker Gaming Machine, down into quarter number 1 here at Indianapolis Speedway. Looks like he may do the same thing here as he just gets in there a little bit too hot. Has to lock him up. Fortunately, slides down in there, maybe trying to flat spot those tires, but every time you lock them up, you got to keep that flat spotting in the back of your mind. How much wear and tear that's putting on to these tires, how much stress it's causing them, and making it even tougher for you out there on the speedway. You do see the 82 get stopped up there, and looks like Joshua Neal's going to take his car off the speedway. Al Reed, one of our top 5 drivers, down into corner number 1. Looks like he's going to run into a little bit of issues here as well. Down through 1 and out at 2, just kind of gets a little loose there on corner exit. Unfortunately, that car hop skips and slides around. Luckily enough, able to get it rocking and rolling, keeping it going here, but does give up a few spots there on the speedway. Bromfield going to go off the racetrack here as well. Looks like he's going to get up into the grass, and luckily enough for the Nightmare number 12 ride, going to get it rolling here once again and keeps that car pointed in the right direction. So a good break right there for him, as we're going to be chasing these drivers around all evening long. We're going to be taking a look here and seeing what's happening, as we do see the 15 rider Cameron Combs now out in front, but Gavin Addison right there on his back bumper. Caleb McKinney all the way back here now, about he's about 5 seconds back, or 3 seconds back of our race leader now. So McKinney sliding backwards here a little bit now into that 3rd position. Adolfo Castillo a little farther back there behind him in the 4th spot. Billy Jordan now inside the top 5 as Al Reed slides back to 6. Then we see Brock Bigelow in the 27, right? One of the new drivers here on the speedway. So good to see Brock out there on the racetrack, having himself a good run here, currently in that 7th position. Kurt Sponsler there in 8th with Dom Slavo, and Slavo, looks like Slavo's ran into some issues here. There we go. He was blinking there for a minute. We couldn't see him on the racetrack, but he's back out there in the 9th spot, and Killingbeck still rounding out our top 10 with Casey Gross, Chris Muse right there behind him, Lance Brantlinger back in 13th, Colton Manich there in 14th, and the number 5 of Brandon Puffenbarger rounding out our top 15 on the speedway. But it's all Cameron Combs here at the front of the field. Combs continuing to lead the way, as we do see some more drivers running into issues. Looks like Billy Jordan's third here in the 14 ride. Gets a little loose there. The Oracle Red Bull Racing Toyota gonna go around, slide through the grass here. He's gonna have to get through the sand trap. Luckily enough does, and gets this car pointed back in the right direction, trying to get rolling here once again. Back onto the speedway. He's gonna use the pit exit here, the actual pit exit of corner number 2 there on the Indianapolis regular course, and he'll use that extra little bit of pavement to put himself back into the track and keep on rolling as he slides back to the 7th position now. We did see Lance Brantlinger again. Brantlinger running into some more issues here. The 8 ride down into corner number, I want to say this is 5 or 6, and unfortunately down through the grass here has having some rough goes here for a lot of these drivers. Unfortunately, we're going to see that all day long. We're going to see right behind Brantlinger, you just saw it there in the background, the 84 ride. Actually, looks like he's going to go up and off the racetrack there just ever so slightly. Johnny Thunder's going to run into some issues here in the Quantum Motorsports number 60 ride, as he'll take it down and out of this corner. Unfortunately, looks like he's going to get in there a little too hot. Again, has to lock him up, and well, gets that car back onto the racetrack, pointing the wrong direction right there, but gets it going back through the grass. Just doing a little landscaping there. Johnny Thunders, he's used to that. One of the golf course maintenance workers. He's used to, doing some beautiful lawn care around, another beautiful facility. So, fitting there for Johnny Thunders. As out in front, Cameron Combs leads the way. Thunders right there in front of him, trying to stay on the lead lap, but he's just going to move up, give that inside lane the best lane there to our race leaders, allow them to go by and keep their fight here at the front of the field. So a good veteran move from Johnny Thunders, letting those drivers on by and continuing to battle back here in the 20th position now. The first car 1 lap down. Robert Tuiscu also a lap down back here in the RT3 Designs LLC number 6 ride. Wayne Garland a couple laps down here in the 84. Same with Austin Smith in the 23. Joshua Neal and James Garland both off the speedway here on the racetrack, as both drivers have taken their cars down behind pit wall here this afternoon. But man, oh man, oh man, this has been some pretty interesting racing to start this afternoon, man. These road courses always make things very, very fun, always make things very interesting out here on the speedway, and I think it's just going to continue to stay just as crazy, just as wild out here on the racetrack. So we'll have to keep an eye on all these drivers, what they're doing, how they're moving, and how they're grooving out here on the speedway to see, who's going to run into issues, who's going to be able to keep their car out of issues, as now we do see Smith running into some more issues here. We saw him right on that first lap, hard contact into one of the safer barriers, head-on damage and heavy contact for the 23 as he's going to lock him up again, getting down into the corner, blows it off the racetrack, able to get that car pointed back in the right direction though, and keeps on rolling here on the speedway. Colton Manich, I don't know if Manich was behind him or not, but looks like the 00 ride gonna run into some issues here as well. This is where we saw that number 23 ride run into issues. Got in here a little bit too hot, and unfortunately slid right down into that end wall safer barrier, but you do see the 00 going for a long skid right there. Finally gets that car stopped and pointed on the right direction. Keeps himself on the racetrack. So a good break there for the 00 of Manich. Just look at this fight at the front of the field. Trying to work their way through some lap traffic right here. And things are getting close between our race leaders. Cameron Combs, Gavin Addison, Caleb McKinney, all right there stacked on top of each other. All within about a second of the race lead here this afternoon. Cameron Combs leading the way there in that ESR black, red, and white ride. And then the pair of white rides here, the white and blue Overton's ride of McKinney there in third. Gavin Addison in that Monster Energy number 11 ride, currently scored in that second position as our top three. You can throw a blanket over them here as they got about a 11-second gap back to our fourth place driver, Adolfo Castillo. Castillo sees them there, just heading down into corner number 1. Still within striking distance if something happened there between our race leaders, but quite a ways back there. And then even farther back you see Al Reed, then you see Brock Bigelow in the 27, Billy Jordan there in the 14 ride, Dom Slavo back here in the 19 ride, currently scored in the 8th position with Mike Killingbeck and Chris Muse, our top 10 here on the speedway. Kurt Sponsler in 11th in the ESR NOS Energy number 49 ride. Then we see Casey Gross, Cole Manich, Lance Brantlinger, Brandon Puffenbarger, our top 15 here on the speedway. Kevin Kazar there in position number 16 with Corey Crowell, Anthony Garland there, as we do see the 76 ride run into some issues right there. That's Caleb McKinney, one of our top 3 drivers, now running into an issue here. Let's take a look back and see what happens to the 76. Is down into the corner. I'm not sure if he's just going to get in here a little too hot. Up onto the apron right there. Gets into the back end of Addison, and then this car's just going to go around. Loses the front end. The 81 ride sliding in there as well, trying to avoid any heavy contact there with that Overton 76 machine. And unfortunately for Caleb McKinney, gets stopped there on the racetrack. No caution flags, but he does lose a spot there as the 31 ride of Adolfo Castillo is right there ready to bounce and quickly close that gap and able to jump back into position number 3 for the 31 ride is out in front. It's Cameron Combs, Gavin Addison, 1.3 seconds now separating our top 2 drivers out there on the speedway after 12 laps of racing action, as Tyler Humphrey says, let's go Misfits Racing out there on the speedway, cheering on his boys here this afternoon. As how are you, Tyler? Mr. Humphrey coming in, showing the love. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys have been enjoying the racing action, all the mayhem and carnage and everything else here this afternoon, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button. As man, oh man, what a run and what a race we've been treated to here this afternoon. These guys have been putting on one heck of a show for us, man. This has been a ton of fun watching these drivers duke it out here at the beautiful Indianapolis road course here this afternoon. As the 15 of Cameron Combs continues to lead the way. Gavin Addison there in second. Then about 13 seconds back, you see Adolfo Castillo there in position number 3. Caleb McKinney there in position number 4 with Al Reed back in 5th. Brock Bigelow, one of the newcomers here on the series, there in the 6th position with with Dom Slavo. They're in 7th. Chris Muse, Mike Killingbeck, and Billy Jordan rounding out our top 10 on the racetrack. As these drivers continue to beat and bang and battle out there on the speedway, we're going to jump into a quick PeaceMaker Gaming crank it up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crank up that volume, cheer on your favorite driver, and crank it up here this afternoon as we go road course racing with the Outcast Racing League, powered by Williamsburg Contracting, Shenco Custom Diecasts, N Sea NSB, and RT3 Designs here this afternoon. give it up for all these drivers here. A beautiful crank it up session, really giving you a look and sights and sounds around the beautiful Indianapolis Speedway here, the road course here at Indianapolis, as these drivers continue to battle out there on the speedway. It's Gavin Addison who has the race lead. He's out in front by about 15 seconds now. A tough pit stop there for green flag pit stops for the 15 ride of Cameron Combs. Went from the race lead all the way back now into the 5th position, and Combs all the way back here now about 30 seconds behind our race leader. So a tough break there for Cameron Combs as Gavin Addison continues to lead the way. Down across the line, he will click off another lap, and we see 25 more laps of racing action here this afternoon. 25 more laps for these drivers to duke it out here this afternoon. As Chris Pilo, my boy Chris, coming in with the 95-star bomb, coming in, setting it off here in this one. As Chris says, let's go. Sunday afternoon at the truck stop with PeaceMaker Gaming. Let's get it, Chris! Mr. Pilo coming in, setting it off. The big D of the day, the big dono of the day here, going already to the number. Beautiful Mr. Chris Pilo here this afternoon. Chris, we miss you out there on the racetrack, brother, but we love to see you up here in the broadcast booth, coming in with the big love here this afternoon. I appreciate that, my boy, coming in with the 95-star bomb, the big D of the day here in this one. Is 25 more laps left to go. That means 20 laps are down and 25 left to go here in this one, and this could make for some very interesting racing. This could make for a huge make or break here for a lot of these drivers, as we still have at least one more green flag pit stop here this afternoon. So we're going to see these drivers come down pit road at least one more time. Now, they were all basically down pit road around lap 15, lap number 16, maybe a couple at 14-ish area. So we're going to see these guys back down pit road probably just after lap number 30, meaning that within the 15 laps left to go here in this race, we will see these drivers head down pit side. So with that being said, drivers will have to be absolutely picture perfect. You can't make a mistake if you're Cameron Combs again. If you're Gavin Addison, Caleb McKinney, Adolfo Castillo, you got to make sure you're absolutely perfect here on these next set of green flag pit stops, as you do not want to have a mistake. You do not want to have a slow pit stop, get caught speeding or anything else, as that could put you way behind the game here this afternoon. As we do see Caleb McKinney jump up and make that move, he's now going to slide in front of the 31 ride of Adolfo Castillo, as they're right there together, only a second separating them, but Gavin Addison still about 18 seconds out in front of that 76 ride. So he's working with a big lead here. He's got lots of time. Just be patient, keep himself out of trouble, keep his car pointing in the right direction, and hope to make sure that he doesn't make any major mistakes, especially down on pit road or anything else, as that's where things could go very, very wrong in a quick hurry, as we did see that already with Cameron Combs. As Addison out in front, continuing to put more and more of these drivers either a lap down or multiple laps down out there on the racetrack, really making things difficult for all these drivers now, as a lot of these cars are going a lap down or multiple laps down here on the racetrack, making their days that much longer here this afternoon. Definitely going to make their day not as fun as I think they would hope it would be, but nonetheless, it's been so far a pretty good showing, some pretty good racing here for each and every one of these competitors, as it's been a lot of fun watching these guys duke it out, try to navigate around the racetrack, trying to keep themselves out of trouble there on the speedway, and it's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of good battle in here, but this big lead for Gavin Addison, man, this is going to make things very interesting, going to make things very, very tough for these drivers to try to hunt him down. I don't know if they're going to be able to make up that kind of ground, man. That is 20 seconds is tough, man. 20 seconds is a lot of times, especially with the 11 ride just holding such good pace, continuing to lay down some really good lap times here. It's going to be very, very tough for anybody to really catch him without a major mistake, without something happening here to this number 11 ride. It's going to take a miracle for somebody to try to catch him here this afternoon, as Gavin Addison Out in front, Adolfo Castillo now back into second. Here's Cale McKinney, slides back to third as McKinney ran into some issues here. Let's take a look back and see what happens to the 76 ride. He was in that second spot and then down into this corner. Looks like he's just going to get in here maybe just a little too hot. Yeah, gets in here a little too hot. Has to use that extended racetrack right there, and unfortunately it's a little piece of the grass there, but for the most part keeps it in there and keeps on going. But that's going to lose him a few more seconds there on the racetrack and slides him all the way back now into position number 3 on the speedway, and a couple of seconds back of Adolfo Castillo out there on the speedway. So as they continue to run into issues behind our race leader, Gavin Addison just still on cruise control here at the front of the field, man. He can just take it easy. I don't think he really needs to push this car, really make mistakes or anything else. He can save a little fuel, save a little tire, and just enjoy his day here at the speedway, as he can be on cruise control, I think, for the next 22 laps and really not give up too much time. As Eric coming in, showing the love, says PeaceMaker best show. Let's go, baby, let's go. Eric coming in, showing the love here in this one. Chris Pilo coming with that like as well. Aaron Beaver says let's go Team Williamsburg Contracting Racing out there on the speedway. Yes, Sirski, let's go Aaron. Mr. Beavers coming in, showing the love here in this one. How are you, Aaron? How are you, Mr. AA Ron? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful Sunday, as some of those cars, man, some of these beautiful Williamsburg Contracting rides, running into issues throughout the earlier parts of the day, but trying to rebound here, trying to pick up a good show. We do see one of the Williamsburg Contracting racing rides there, the Shenco Custom Diecast 19, Adam Slavo just outside the top 5 here, currently scored in that 6th position on the racetrack. A little farther back, we do see let's take a look here. You do see Colton Manish back there in the 14th position. The 00 ride, I do believe, is one of the drivers a lap down now on the speedway here, as there's not a lot of drivers left on the lead lap. It looks like Brandon Puffenbarger, Kurt Sponsler are now the first car's a lap down here. So Kurt Sponsler is that first car 1 lap down out there on the racetrack, and our race leader just there in front of him. Chris Muse, the next driver, currently scored in the 11th position, at risk of going a lap down, as Gavin Addison, the race leader, right there behind him, just there in the rear view mirror of the 99. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that and see where he's going to go and what's going to happen there with that one, as it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a very wild end to the day here for a lot of these drivers, a lot of these competitors, man. It's going to end up being very, very interesting on whether or not we're going to see Gavin Addison finally come through with a win here in the series, because he's been having some tough luck, man. He's ran into some tough issues, week after week, man. He's been looking to try to do some good stuff, looking to try to keep himself going and rocking and rolling here, but unfortunately he's continued to have some good runs, some good races, really showing a lot of speed, but running into issues out there on the speedway has really set him back here quite a bit. So it's been a tough break so far for the 11 ride of Addison, as Adolfo Castillo back here still trying to track him down. Castillo's actually made up a little bit of ground here on him, about half a second or a second, but really that 20-second gap biting a big issue for our race leader. With only 20 laps left to go, he can just be on cruise control here for the next 20 laps, give up a second every single lap, and still have this race lead and not have to worry at all on the speedway. So Addison in the catbird seat right now on the speedway, as we do see Addison out in front, putting the pressure on the back bumper of Chris Muse. Muse trying to stay on the lead lap. I don't know how long he's going to be able to keep that fast track Shenco Custom Diecast Williamsburg Contracting number 99 ride there in the on the lead lap, as Addison rolling closer and closer to his back bumper. We do see Cale McKinney back here in that 3rd position, trying to reel back in that 31 of Adolfo Castillo's. We did see James Garland run into some more issues. Let's take a look back here at the 13 right of James Garland. Slow down on the inside of the racetrack. Looks like he's just going to get stopped and maybe take this car off of the speedway, or just letting these drivers go on by here. They're trying to ruin their day, and it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. And as he gets going here again, just getting stopped there on the racetrack. Then we see Wayne Garland run into some issues here, possibly just doing the same thing here, moving down out of the way. Nope, looks like he's going to slide up in front of Killing, back ever so slightly, but gets in there a little too deep. Luckily enough, misses that 27 of Brock Bigelow. He has to lock him up. You see Billy Jordan also locking him up right there to avoid contact with the number 84 ride. So there you'll see Colton manage. Now going to run into issues again here. We've seen him do this a couple times in the day. Just into this corner. I believe that's corner 5 or 6 on the racetrack. Just gets onto the binders, locks up those rear tires, goes for a quick little loop-de-loop, and keeps on rocking and rolling. Doesn't look like he gives up any positions, but still scored back in that 14th spot on the speedway. So some craziness here this afternoon as we do see Caleb McKinney back around Adolfo Castillo. Castillo will slide back into position number 30 here once again, as it looks like Adolfo unfortunately blowing it off the racetrack not once but twice there, as you see him right there go off of the speedway. That's going to give up more and more time here for Caleb McKinney to grow a bit of a gap between himself and our third place driver. Cameron Combs back here in position number 4 and looking for more, continuing to try to work his way back up towards the front of the field. We also see the number 19 rider, Dom Slavo. Looks like he's going to run into some issues here. Let's take a look at Slavo down into corner number 1. Looks like him and Brantlinger possibly coming together here. Brantlinger down to the inside, gets in here with a whole head of steam, trying to get checked up. Gets into the apron right there, then hard into the 19 ride as they come together. A little bit of damage for both competitors, both able to keep on rocking and rolling there, but some pretty good contact between our 6th place driver and last season's champion, as Brantlinger definitely has been off to a rough start here this year, as Gavin Addison out in front, continuing to show these drivers how to get it done. Everybody inside the top 10 still on the lead lap, as the next driver to potentially go a lap down is the 77 ride of Casey Gross. Gross does have quite a bit of a gap back here to our race leader, about 15-16 seconds, but that's not too far away from Gavin Addison. Starting to put our top 10 a lap down as well on the speedway, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see how this all works out for the 11 ride of Addison, as pit stops going to start to become an issue here once again for these drivers. We're going to start to see these competitors heading down pit road. We're going to start to see these drivers head down pit side here for some more green flag pit stops. Probably around, I'd say probably around that 15 laps left to go, maybe 16 laps left to go, somewhere in that area. These drivers can go probably about 18 laps or so on a tank of fuel. The tires should hold up for that whole run as well. So really a two-stop pit stop style of a race here this afternoon. And right now it's looking like Gavin Addison just continuing to open up that lead, continuing to try to run away here with this one, man. Not giving up an inch out there on the racetrack and not backing down out there either, as and they've been doing a great job. These guys have been putting on a heck of a show for us all day long. A lot of beating and banging, a lot of great battling out there on the racetrack, and these guys have been showing the love all evening, man. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a great time up here in the broadcast booth, just watching these drivers duke it out lap after lap after lap. And if you guys are enjoying the racing action, if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button. If you're watching over there on the YouTube stream, make sure you guys smash that subscribe button right now. Become part of the PeaceMaker family, become part of the PeaceMaker crew here today, and some great racing here all evening long, as we're going to have actually 3 different races here this afternoon. We're locked and loaded. We're going to have a lot of racing, so we got 3 races here in this one, as this is going to make things interesting, man. 3 big races, a lot of different fun, a lot of different areas, and it's going to be pretty interesting. Alrighty, it's Gavin Addison, 16 laps left to go, continuing to lead the way here this afternoon. Addison out in front, showing these drivers how to get it done here in this one. It's Gavin Addison showing them how to get it done. He's got about 16 seconds, almost 17 seconds still between himself and Caleb McKinney. But McKinney is able to close that gap ever so slightly. So he is really in our race leader, but really not at a rapid pace here. And obviously with only 15 laps left to go in this race, 16 laps left here to make up that 17-second gap. You know, the 76 ride's going to have to gain over a second a lap on Gavin Addison. Now, coming down for green flag pit stops may be that big break that the 76 ride may be looking for. If he can get down pit road clean and easy, not make any mistakes, it could potentially open up the door here for him to make those moves and to put himself maybe into the best position possible here this evening. So we'll have to keep an eye out and keep on watching, seeing what happens here with this number 76, the 11 ride, the 31 of Adolfo Castillo, who's in position number 3. Cameron Combs back there in 4th, and Alan Reed our top 5 here on the speedway as David coming in, dropping that follow button as well over there on the Twitch stream. I appreciate that, brother, coming in, smashing that follow button here in this one. It's 15 laps left to go from the beautiful Indianapolis road course here this afternoon. Each and every one of these drivers, man, putting on a show, giving us a great look at all their beautiful rides, the beautiful sunset here in Indy, and it's been a fun day, man. It's been a fun day, a bit of a wild day. Drivers still running into issues, still trying to keep their cars underneath of them, trying to keep themselves out of trouble out there on the speedway. But you know, it's every single little bit, man. Everything you gotta do almost perfectly here on the racetrack, as you do see the 77 ride currently scored back in the 9th position, still on the lead lap here, as he's the last driver on the lead lap. As now we do see some more drivers starting to head down pit side. Here comes Dom Slavo, Mike Killingback, Colton Manich, all coming down pit road. So that second wave of green flag pit stops is about to get underway. Drivers starting to head down pit side, looking to try to get this pit stop done. As see these drivers come down that pit road, we'll see more and more of them start to head down there as well, maybe in the next lap or two, as they're going to be trying to make sure that they can make it on fuel, which I do believe if they pit now, everybody should be able to make it on fuel. But running that extra lap or two, maybe giving yourself that extra little bit of a break out there on the speedway, not really having to worry or stress about fuel at all. Running this a little bit longer definitely doesn't hurt. But some drivers trying to short pit here, as we do see Caleb McKinney going to be coming into the screen here down on pit road. McKinney down pit side, same with Cameron Combs. So both of those drivers down on pit lane here, making their green flag pit stops as well. There's Caleb McKinney. Here comes Cameron Combs down pit road. Dom Slavo still down there as well. Now this is where we saw Cameron Combs make a mistake down on pit side in that opening set of green flag pit stops. Unfortunately, went for the race lead, and he went from the race lead all the way back now into about the 5th position, 4th position on the racetrack, but multiple seconds here behind our race leaders. So unfortunately for Cameron Combs, not the way he wanted this one to go here this afternoon, as and a very fast car was battling for the race lead, as here comes our race leader down onto pit lane. So Gavin Addison looking to make his pit stop, just got to make sure he doesn't get in there too quick. You see that tire smoke locking him up, trying to get that car down to pit road speed. Hopefully not a pit road speeding penalty there on the entry. We do see Casey Gross down pit side as well, our 7th place driver, just in front of the race leader here, as they're all going to get ready for their pit stops here this afternoon. As man, this has been an interesting race, man. This has been a pretty wild one. Watching all these drivers continue to battle, continue to duke it out on the racetrack, trying to make sure they don't make any mistakes or anything else. So we'll have to keep an eye on them, see what happens out here. You see McKinney or Addison down on pit road right there on the bottom left. See him getting jacked up for fresh tires onto the 11 ride. He's going to leave his pit box here, so no mistakes down pit road for Gavin Addison. He's going to rejoin the racing surface here and keep on rolling as he's going to roll down into corner number 1. That's the 13 ride, I do believe. Rolling up onto him here is, look out, you don't want to make a mistake there on the apron. He doesn't, gets it going here and going to hang on to that race lead. So a good pit stop right there for Gavin Addison, and Addison will stay out in front. We'll see if there's a big gap still between himself and the 76 of Caleb McKinney. There is still about 19 seconds. So unfortunately here for Caleb McKinney, he's actually going to lose a second or so down on pit road to the 11 ride of Gavin Addison. Adolfo Castillo going to close the gap on the 76 as well. He's right there again to the back bumper of Caleb McKinney for position number 2 on the speedway. Cameron Combs back there a little farther in that 4th spot. Al Reed in the 5th position, just coming back out onto the racetrack. Chris Muse there in position number 6 is Brock Bigelow down on pit road here. Looks like he's going to have a bit of an extended pit stop here, as looks like he's having a rough time trying to get this car into pit lane and getting rolling here on the racetrack. Brock Bigelow still down on pit road. Finally gets it into his box right here. Unfortunately, that's going to lose a lot of time here for that 27 ride. So Bigelow, unfortunately, down on pit road. He's going to see Killingbeck go by him. There goes Casey Gross. There goes the number 14 of Billy Jordan as well. A lot of time given up right there for Brock Bigelow, having some issues down on pit road as Gavin Addison going to go by him and put him a lap down here, as Addison still out in front, 17.5 seconds the gap back to the 76 ride of Caleb McKinney. Right there is Adolfo Castillo as our top 3, about 14 seconds in front of Cameron Combs, who's back here in that 4th position. A little farther back, you see Al Reed there in 5th. Chris Muse, Mike Killingbeck, Billy Jordan, Casey Gross are top 9 on the speedway, and Casey now the first car 1 lap down, so only 8 drivers left on the lead lap here on the speedway. So 8 drivers left on the lead lap, and it may be down to less as we see Chris Muse now down pit side as well. We'll have to wait and see where Muse jumps out onto the speedway here, but may be down to only about 7 drivers still on the lead lap here this afternoon, as Gavin Addison just laying down some wicked fast lap times, continuing to just keep on impressing us here in the Outcast Racing League. Continues to have these great runs. Unfortunately, in some of the oval races, has ran into issues, has been tied up in caution flags, has unfortunately ran out of room on the speedway, and has not had any good luck there when it comes to our oval racing. But here on the road course, man, he's definitely got the knack for it, and he's definitely showing us how to get it done here in this one, as Addison out in front by 17.5 seconds and on cruise control here to potentially victory lane with only 11 more laps left to go here in this one. We're going to jump back into a quick PeaceMaker Gaming Crank It Up. So crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite driver. We will crank it up again here on PeaceMaker Gaming. Alrighty, as the laps continue to click down here in this one, we get closer and closer to our checkered flag here this afternoon. As another beautiful crank it up session right there. We'll get these drivers ready to rumble, ready to rock and roll here in this one as the laps continue to close down. 7 more laps left to go here for Gavin Addison, as he's been putting on a clinic here all evening long. Addison out in front by about 19 seconds between himself and Caleb McKinney as he heads down into corner number 1 for our race leader. McKinney all the way back here, just exiting corner number 14, so that whole straightaway, the gap here between first and second on the speedway. Third place right there, about 3 seconds back of our second place driver, and then 15 seconds back, you see this 15 ride of Cameron Combs. Al Reed about that same gap back here in the 5th position as Mike Killingbeck there in 6th, Casey Gross in 7th, as I do believe Killingbeck also a lap down now on the speedway. Al Reed, the last driver on the lead lap, but Addison, not too far back there behind him, and over the next 6-7 laps he may be able to try to hunt down that number 5 ride and start to lap our top 5 here on the speedway. No caution flags, nothing but clean and green racing here on the evening as these drivers came to the beautiful Indianapolis road course here this afternoon for 45 laps of racing action and down through the final sets of corners here in Indy, down and out of corner number 14. The number 11 ride will see the big high five here from our flagman, this time by the start-finish line. So 45 laps down here this afternoon and only 5 more laps left to go there across the start-finish line. So 5 more laps for these drivers to figure things out, to put themselves into a position to have a good points day here at the Speedway. But the 11 of Addison looking for the big win here in the Monster Energy number 11 machine, as Caleb McKinney there in 2nd, Adolfo Castillo back there in 3rd. Then we see Cameron Combs and Al Reed, our top 5 here on the Speedway. Al Reed is back about 55 seconds here from our race leader, so he's back quite a bit here, but still has about a 40-second gap really between himself and our 6th place driver and our race leader here. So he's got himself a little bit of time, a little bit of comfort here, and without having to really go a lap down there for Al Reed. So it looks like our top 5 for the most part will stay on the lead lap, but anything can happen. Mistakes can be made out there on the Speedway. You got to make sure you have some some good runs, some good issues out here, and really not make any bad mistakes out there on the Speedway. So you got to make sure you're perfect here at the beautiful Indianapolis Motor Speedway, especially in these closing laps. And if you're our race leader, you maybe have one. You maybe have one mistake you can make here. With the 20-second gap, I don't know if I would still feel comfortable spinning it around or going off the racetrack or anything else. I feel like I would want to make sure I'm picture perfect here. You can run slower lap times. You can give up at this point, 2-3 seconds every single lap to that 2nd place driver. He's still not going to catch you here in these final 4 laps of the race. So you can really just kind of be set on cruise control, hit your marks, not make any mistakes, and just make smart moves and keep that car out of trouble, and making sure that you don't have any issues there where that gap can be closed up in a quick hurry. Because if you do run into one of those issues and they do catch you, they're not going to be scared to try to use those front bumpers or try to make some big moves to try to put themselves into a position where they could potentially take this win away from you. So you just got to keep yourself clean and green here for these final few laps. As out in front, Addison, Caleb McKinney, Adolfo Castillo, Cameron Combs, and Al Reed, our top 5 out there on the Speedway. Mike Killingbeck back there in 6th with Brock Bigelow. They're in position number 7. A good run here for the 27 ride. Had a few issues, but rolling there in that 7th position. Feeling good out there on the Speedway is Chris Muse back in 8th. Casey Gross there in 9th. Billy Jordan, our top 10 here on the Speedway. Dom first lap. Well, back in 11th with Kurt Sponsler there in 12th. Colton Manage back in position number 13. And then we see Lance Brantlinger there in 14th. Kevin Kazar, our top 15 out there on the speedway. Josh Bromfield in the 16th position with Wayne Garland in 17th. Anthony Garland in the 18th position. Robert Tuiscu coming down pit road here, currently scored in 19th with Johnny Thunders rounding out our top 20. Brandon Puffenbarger scored in the 21st spot with James Garland in 22nd. Austin Smith in 23rd. Corey Crowell in 24th. And Joshua Neal back in the 25th spot on the speedway. Is Addison out in front, continuing to show these drivers how to get it done with only 3 more laps left to go here in this one. He's just cruising home here, really just hoping for no major issues, no major mistakes here on the evening. If he can close this thing out, man, it's gonna, kind of evaporate everything bad that's happened here in the previous races. Take everything that went wrong and put everything behind you, as now you're in the winning car here this afternoon, picking up a race win. You work yourself into the playoffs. You know that you're going to be one of those drivers battling for a championship. You got more things to focus on than dwindle with the things that were in the past. So for the 11 right of Addison, kind of erasing that memory, erasing those first few races where he's ran into issues and had problems out there on the racetrack. Now you can kind of put those behind you, knowing that you're a race winner. There's not a whole lot of stress on you to make the playoffs, but you just go out there, run your races, try to earn yourself those extra bonus points towards our playoffs and maybe towards that regular season championship, and not having to stress too much out there on the racetrack. There's only 2 more laps left to go here for the number 11 ride. So only 2 more laps left here in this one. He's got 21.5 seconds back to the 76 ride of Caleb McKinney. McKinney just heading down across the start-finish line right now, as there you go, the 11 ride down through the first set, a couple corners here already, working his way through the S's up through corner 4 and 5 on the speedway, and down this extra long straightaway here into corner number 6. McKinney still working himself down through corner number 2 here, so he's got a huge lead, a massive advantage here between himself and our second place driver, Adolfo Castillo, back there in position number 3. He's feeling pretty comfortable now, as about 7 seconds in front of him is Caleb McKinney, about 11 seconds, 12 seconds back there behind him in position number 4 is Cameron Combs, and then Al Reed back here rounding out our top 5, just headed down across the start finish line. They're the only 5 drivers still on the lead lap here this afternoon, as Gavin Addison, 22.5 second lead here. He's actually starting to stretch out that lead more and more and more here, as you see the 28 running Kevin Kazar running into some issues right there. We did see Casey Gross make his way back down pit side in that 77 ride, as Gavin Addison down across the line. We'll see that white flag fly. So for the final time around the racetrack here for the 11 of Gavin Addison, nice and easy down into corner number 1. He's got a few drivers to work with here in front of him. That's the 84 Wayne Garland up off the racetrack there. He's going to move out of the way. Good piece of driving. That's the 84 of Anthony Garland right in front of our race leader, as he's looking to try to work his way around the 81. Doesn't even really have to push the subject here. 23 seconds, but you do see the number 84 is just, or 81 is just going to move down out of the way, allow him to get that racing line and put the power down and take that spot. So he will move around the 81 right, put him another lap down for Anthony Garland back in the 17th position. But Addison down through the final few corners here this afternoon, just hitting his marks, making sure that he doesn't make any mistakes. 21 seconds now between himself and Caleb McKinney, as this is our final lap of racing action here this afternoon. Gavin Addison has been on a different level all day long, as he heads down into, I do believe, corner number 12 here on the speedway. Down through corner number 12, down into corner number 13 here on the racetrack, and down into our final corner here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, out of corner number 14 and back down the front straightaway. He's gonna kiss the brakes. It's Gavin Addison picking up the checkered flag here this afternoon from the beautiful Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Indianapolis road course here this evening. Gavin Addison picking up the win, a dominating win as our second place driver finally coming down at corner number 14. He's going to come down across the line. Caleb McKinney there in position number 2. Here comes Adolfo Castillo, our third place driver, down across the line. He will lock himself in as our third place contender. Here comes Cameron Combs, our fourth place driver, down at corner number 14. He's going to head down across the start finish line, and Cameron Combs will come home there in the 4th spot. A little farther back, down through corner 13 and out of corner number 14. That is Al Reed. Reed down through the final quarter here this afternoon. He will round out our top 5 here in this one as the 8 ride. Lance Brantlinger losing it right there at the end as Brantlinger going to go around once again, but it's Al Reed coming home there in that 5th position. Kurt Sponsler going to run his day done here in the 49 right down across the line. We'll keep an eye on Lance Brantlinger as he's trying to get this car turned back around and down across the line here. I don't know if he's even going to make it across the line. Heavy damage here on the front end of this 8 ride, and that just sums up, you know, the entire afternoon, the entire evening here for the 8 machine, as going to be the final driver to finish here this evening as he's looking to get this car pointed back in the right direction. Finally gets it going. Heavy smoke, heavy damage on it, but he will come across the line here as our 14th place driver there for Lance Brantlinger. But it was all Gavin Addison. Is Addison going to burn down the house here this afternoon after picking up a big win, a huge win here for the 11 ride as the Monster Energy number 11 machine picks up the win here this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for Gavin Addison. Is Addison getting the job done here this afternoon and putting himself up and into victory lane, man. What a run and what a race there for that number 11 machine. As now we'll get ready to pull our top 3 up and into the broadcast booth here for some post-race interviews. Post-race interviews going to come right at you here as we'll get ready to pull our top 3 up and into the booth for their post-race interviews. Let's see if we can find them in here and bring them into the show. Let's see if we can get them up into the post-race interview room. Hey, Gavin, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Gavin, man, a great run and a great drive from you here this afternoon, man. Putting all the bad luck you've had here over the last few weeks behind you as you're able to capture a big win here in this one, man. Dominating fashion. Obviously, we saw some tight racing early on in this one between, you know, yourself, Caleb McKinney, and that 15 rider Cameron Combs. But then it came down to those green flag pit stops. A mistake out of the 15 ride. Caleb starting to slide back a little bit more as well, and you're able to just drive out to this huge lead and keep it here for the final about 30 laps of this race and cruise control home to a big win here on this Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know really what happened to the 15. I thought it was going to be a battle between me and him the whole time. I mean, I just did what I had to do. I feel like I've been probably one of the 3 fastest this whole season that I've been in the races, and Richmond just unlucky. Same with Chicago, and Vegas very unlucky. I felt I had the best car there, but hey, of all the tracks, did not expect this one to be it. I didn't put a lot of practice into it, but I have a good little GT3 racing background that helps me out here, and just happy to get the win. And I think I'm in the playoffs. Is that correct?
That is correct, brother. Picking up the win, locking yourself into the playoffs now. You can kind of, you know, move forward with everything that happened in the past. Now you kind of got a new life under you, you know, a new breath of fresh air, as now you don't have to really worry or struggle about points or anything else. Now you just got to worry about bonus points, you know, picking up stage wins, picking up, you know, more race wins here before the regular season comes to a close, and trying to earn all those bonus points to help you through our NASCAR playoffs here with the Outcast Racing League. Man, you know, how does it feel knowing that you're now locked in and you don't really have to worry or stress too much if a strategy doesn't go the way you want it to, or you run into some bad luck and get collected into, you know, someone else's calamity out there on the speedway?
It feels great. I mean, I've been stressing about it because I knew I had the win to get in. I had great chances so far, and I like the rest of the schedule of the regular season. I really do. Like Gateway, I like Dover, I like Darlington, and I believe that's the rest of it. But I mean, it's just great tracks lining up for me, and I feel like they suit my driving style a lot. Not fully on throttle, at the lift, and I like that type of racing. And hopefully, we can get 3 more wins to finish out the regular season and give me some big playoff points.
Absolutely, brother. Well, I mean, you've shown a lot of good speed, a lot of great pace out there in that 11 ride, man. We've seen you time and time again work yourself through the field towards the front, then run into issues and have to go back to the rear and drive back through the field here. But tonight, not as much of that kind of work. I mean, you passed a lot of cars, probably the most you've passed all season long, maybe. But
I don't know.
you're able to put a lot of cars a lap down, able to pass a lot of these drivers, but not for position, just to keep them trapped back there behind you. Lap down, multiple laps down out there for some of them, as a lot of these guys, struggling here at the road course. But you were able to pick right up where you left off here. Being very fast, very good, and just being consistent out there on the speedway. I think that's what pays tribute here to your win here this afternoon, man. Just being very consistent and hitting your marks, not making too many mistakes out there on the speedway, and putting this 11 ride up and into victory lane.
Yep. Appreciate it, man. Hopefully we can finish out the season strong. I'd like to, and have a good rest of your night.
Absolutely. You as well, Gavin. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out here for your great performance this afternoon?
I'll shout out myself, and I'll shout out everyone that's watching because they know they come and watch us race every week, and it's really special to see them watch.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Gavin, we appreciate you tuning in and showing the love here this afternoon, and hopefully we'll get you back up here into the broadcast booth for more and more post-race interviews here to finish out this regular season going into our Outcast Racing League playoffs.
Yep, that's been what I'm most excited for. It's getting in the booth.
Absolutely, brother. Well, we can't wait to see you back up here. Congratulations on the win, and don't party too hard down there in victory lane.
Ah, well.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for Gavin Addison as Gavin picking up the win here this afternoon, pulling that 11 ride up and in to victory lane. As we'll get ready to pull in our second place finisher, the 76 ride, Caleb McKinney. Caleb coming home here in position number 2. Let's pull him up into the broadcast booth. Hey, Caleb, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth. They get a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Caleb, man, a pretty solid run for you all day long. We saw you battling early in this race for the race lead between yourself and Gavin Addison and that 15 right at Cameron Combs. You three kind of ran away with this one early on, and then those green flag pit stops really seemed to break everybody apart here. And obviously, we saw Gavin jump out to a huge lead there on the racetrack, and you guys just continued to try to chip away at that lead. Unfortunately, couldn't close the gap here as Gavin just cruise control home to a beautiful win this afternoon. But you're able to do a great job here even after running into some issues on the racetrack yourself a couple of times, locking the tires up or missing corners and everything else. You're able to keep all the fenders on it and keep this car up here in that second spot, man. You gotta be pretty happy with the performance here this afternoon and a solid second place run.
Yeah, so far, this race was not it for me personally. Too many mistakes in a longer period of time, which led to most of my problems and me getting ahead of myself before the corner even happened. Yeah.
Absolutely. So running into a few issues out there on the speedway, running into those problems, but still being able to keep yourself under control, keep that car pointed in the right way here for most of this race, and being able to put yourself up here onto the podium in position number 2, being able to pick up some major points here towards your playoffs and everything else has got to feel pretty dang good.
Oh, for sure. Just trying to grind at it every week and trying to maximize the most points I can get.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Caleb, who would you like to thank here this afternoon for a great run and a great drive here at Indy?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Dominic Barbagallo for this amazing Overton's Ford Mustang, and that'd be it.
Beauty. Well, Caleb, congrats on the second place run, and we can't wait to see you back out there next Sunday.
Thank you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for Caleb McKinney coming home there in position number 2 here this afternoon as well. We're going to get ready to pull in our third place finisher now, the 31 of Adolfo Castillo. As Adolfo coming home there in that third spot, we'll pull him up into the broadcast booth. Hey, Adolfo, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad, Adolfo, man. A pretty solid run here for you tonight, man. A few mistakes out there on the racetrack, but you're able to kind of keep yourself out of trouble, keep yourself pointed in the right direction here, and you work that number 31 right into a solid podium performance here this afternoon, man. Take us back through this one and everything that happened out there on the speedway.
Yeah, man, it was a really tough race. I just knew I had to keep it consistent on the track, not too many mistakes. I still made a ton though. But yeah, I mean, minimize mistakes on pit road is a huge one. It was really tough.
Absolutely, brother. Definitely a tough racetrack, definitely a tough race out there, and obviously very tough trying to close, big gaps there between yourself and Caleb McKinney a couple times, and obviously trying to close that huge gap all the way to our race leader, Gavin Addison, as Addison was in a different area code here this evening, but man, oh man, oh man, made for some great racing here early on. Watching you guys duke it out here in the earlier parts of this race before those green flag pit stops really broke things wide open here. But you're able to bring it home in position number 3. Who'd you like to thank for such a great run and great performance here this afternoon?
Everybody at Outcast, my team Quantum, you. That's about it.
Beauty. Well, Adolfo, congratulations on the great run. Congratulations on the great race. And hopefully more and more trips for the 31 ride back up here into the broadcast booth.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your day.
See ya.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our top 3. Gavin Addison, Caleb McKinney, and Adolfo Castillo here in this one. Put on a great race and a great show for us here this afternoon. Unfortunately, that is going to do it for us on the racing action here in this one, but we will be back live around 7 o'clock Eastern Time. We're going to be back live again here this afternoon, and then, we're going to be doing I believe it's a super late model race on the dirt, and then we are going to go to the asphalt following that race for our third broadcast of the day, back to the Sim 500 Cars Tour, and more late models getting ready to battle here in this one. As man, oh man, some great racing here all evening long, and it's going to be a ton of fun to watch each and every one of these races and these drivers duke it out and battle it out here in the closing races here of the evening. But thank y'all for tuning in, thank y'all for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out for now, baby. Peace out for now, ladies and gentlemen.